In a recent video, John Harris raised a question that caught a lot of people off guard. Why Taiwan, a small island, could become the place where World War III begins. That video goes deep into history, the Chinese Civil War, the Cold War, U.S. intervention, the policy of strategic ambiguity, and Taiwan's critical role in the global semiconductor supply chain. After watching it, you're left with a very unsettling feeling that all it takes is one miscalculation, one step too far, and a global war could erupt from this single point. But there is one very important question that video does not answer. If this place is truly that dangerous, why hasn't war happened here for more than 70 years? Not 1 year, not 1 decade, but over 7 decades of continuous tension. And the more important question is this: in today's world, is military war still the smartest way to win? Today, I don't want to retell history, and I don't want to add more fear. I want to do something different. I want to decode the logic of interests behind this tension, because when you look at the world through economic incentives, through supply chain power, and through the real cost of modern warfare, one thing becomes very clear. World War III cannot start here, not because the parties love peace, but because China, the United States, and Taiwan are all winning, each in their own way. Before we go any further, I want to be very clear about one thing. This is Ascend Your Mind. This is where I don't talk about markets through emotion. I don't look at the world through fear. Instead, I decode market signals, economic incentives, and the real motivations behind the actions of nations. I share, for free, how I read these signals, where capital is flowing, how power is shifting, and how an ordinary individual can move ahead of the crowd and build wealth by understanding cycles correctly. If you find this video useful, please like it and save it. YouTube will add it to your playlist, so you can come back to it anytime when you need a clearer, calmer view of the world. Now, let's return to the core question. If Taiwan really were the place that could trigger World War III, the first logical question must be this: who actually benefits if war breaks out? And once you put that question on the table, the answer appears almost immediately. Not China, not the United States, and certainly not Taiwan. In the modern world, military war is no longer the optimal path to victory. Victory today is decided by economics, by technology, by supply chains, and by long-term endurance. And that alone explains why, after more than 70 years of tension, war still hasn't happened here. Let's start with China. Today, China is the second largest economy in the world, accounting for roughly 15% of global GDP. It is the largest trading partner of more than 120 countries, exporting over $3.4 trillion worth of goods every year. And it sits at the very center of the global supply chain. A war over Taiwan would immediately change all of that. It would trigger financial and technological sanctions. Capital would rush out. Exports would collapse. Supply chains would fracture, and economic growth would be suppressed for years. Put simply, China is winning through time and economics. War would turn that advantage into loss. More importantly, China doesn't actually need war to achieve its long-term objectives. Economic integration is cheaper, it's less risky, and it doesn't isolate China from the rest of the world. Historically, great powers go to war when they are losing, not when they are rising. Now look at the United States. The U.S. is not a country that reacts emotionally. It reacts based on cost and benefit. The United States controls the global financial system. It issues the world's primary reserve currency. And it leads in core technologies, especially AI and semiconductors. And this is where Taiwan becomes critical. Taiwan produces more than 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors. TSMC alone controls over half of global chip manufacturing. Companies like NVIDIA, Apple, AMD, and Qualcomm depend directly on Taiwan's production capacity. If war were to break out, the global semiconductor supply chain would collapse. AI development would stall, defense technology would be disrupted, and the global economy would fall into a deep recession. That's why the United States has chosen a very specific strategy. It does not explicitly promise military defense, but it also never allows Taiwan to be taken. That is not hesitation. That is the art of power. The United States benefits from the current situation without paying the cost of war. Now consider Taiwan itself. Today, Taiwan has its own government, its own military, its own currency, and a fully functioning democracy. Its per capita income exceeds $30,000 a year. In practical terms, Taiwan already functions as an independent country in every operational sense. So why doesn't it formally declare independence? Because it understands one simple reality. A declaration means war. No declaration means continued prosperity. Taiwan is doing the smartest thing possible. It relies on the United States for deterrence. It leverages China as a major economic partner. And it turns the most dangerous geopolitical position in the world into one of the most profitable ones. Standing between two great powers without choosing an extreme side is how Taiwan survives. In the 21st century, power is no longer decided primarily on the battlefield. Power is decided by supply chains, by core technologies, by capital flows, and by global standards. Whoever controls these can force the other side to lose without firing a single shot. A military war over Taiwan would cause China to lose growth momentum, the United States to lose technological advantage, and Taiwan to be physically devastated. There would be no winner, and when there is no winner, war does not happen. This is why strategic ambiguity exists. China continues its economic rise without direct confrontation. The United States maintains global rules and technological dominance, and Taiwan lives as a de facto independent state without declaring it. In economic terms, no party has an incentive to break this equilibrium. That's why the idea of World War III is so terrifying, but also so misleading. When you look at the world through economic incentives and power logic, the picture becomes very different. World War III cannot start here because no one here is losing. And in the modern world, war only happens when peace no longer provides value. Right now, peace in Taiwan remains the smartest option for China, for the United States, and for Taiwan itself. So the real question becomes, what should investors do? Here is the most important thing to understand. Investors don't get rich by predicting war. They get rich by understanding why war doesn't happen. When all sides benefit from the current system, capital doesn't flee the market. It flows into areas that benefit from stability. That means not investing based on geopolitical fear. War headlines create short-term noise, not long-term trends. Selling good assets because of news is the fastest way to lose money. It means paying attention to where capital must stay. Technology, semiconductors, AI, global supply chains. Because regardless of tension, the world still needs chips. It still needs technology, and it still needs growth. And it means staying defensive, but not extreme. Holding some cash, holding some gold, but not abandoning growth assets entirely. Without a global crisis, extreme defensiveness only traps you. I'll summarize this in 3 simple lines. Don't invest based on headlines. Invest based on signals. And place your capital where war does not happen. If you want to continue understanding the world, not through fear, but through market signals and capital flows, that's exactly what I share here on Ascend Your Mind. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos that help you build wealth and change your position in the world.